I understand the frustration. In America, we participate in a political system that seems to benefit only those at the top and those who have always been at the top, white males of privilege. But we voters of color have frustrations of our own. The party and the people in power have left us behind and forgotten about our most critical, pressing needs. The disconnect is clear when people of color try to pivot the political conversation away from a solitary focus on what white men want toward opening it up to what we all need. It's long past time for women and people of color to step out of the shadows of being an afterthought. After Hillary's loss in 2016, there was a lot of criticism of identity politics because she amplified the historic nature of her glass-ceiling-shattering candidacy, basing it on being the first woman to ever win a major party's nomination for president. There were even some in our own party who criticized this messaging and criticized the entire idea of identity politics as a whole. "It's not good enough for someone to say, 'I'm a woman, vote for me,'" said Bernie Sanders. "No, that's not good enough. What we need is a woman who has the guts to stand up to Wall Street, to the insurance companies, to the drug companies, to the fossil fuel industry." It's not only Bernie who has attacked candidates for highlighting their differences from the typical white male political option, as if the very prominence of this fact is a problem. If it didn't matter that a candidate was a woman, then we probably would have had a woman president a long time ago. We live in a world where being a woman does put you at a disadvantage from seeking positions of leadership and authority, and it's the obligation of today's politicians seeking power in 2020 and beyond to speak to that inequity, as opposed to sweeping it away as if representation is a frivolous concern. Women need representation in politics because their perspective is much needed in American government. Every study shows that women are more likely to compromise when in office, and in doing so, they are able to get more accomplished. We've come a long way from a country run by white male landowners, but you wouldn't know it by looking at the United States Senate. Currently, there are 26 women in the United States Senate out of 100 Senate seats, 17 Democratic senators, and 9 Republican senators. Currently, women are a majority in the U.S. population, but their numbers in politics don't reflect that power in numbers. The Pew Research Center, a nonpartisan think tank based in Washington, D.C., predicts that we are going to see a generational shift in our politics, and that white people are projected to be a minority of voters by 2045. With demographics trending away from whiteness, the smart strategy as a party would be to prepare for the constituencies who will decide elections and shape the future. And those constituencies aren't white. America's coming demographic shifts put us on a collision course with an America that's long gone. I'm calling out African Americans, Latinx, and the LGBTQ+ communities. Identity-based politics, embracing identities other than those that are white, male, and heteronormative, and running political campaigns based on the needs and experiences of those identities, are the future. The term identity politics gets a bad rap from all sides, but it is absolutely the path to triumph for the Democratic Party. It requires an understanding of the intersectionality of all of our identities and how this intersectionality impacts our lives, both individually and collectively. It was particularly trashed during and immediately after the 2016 presidential election. Senator Bernie Sanders made his disdain for identity politics known after the 2016 election, and he was part of a chorus of mainstream voices who insisted that Trump's win was the result of economic anxiety for the majority white voters who supported his election. Sanders has always railed against powerful moneyed interests and Wall Street, but has only recently started to speak more to systemic inequality and racism. His dismissal of the importance of representation, or why women want a woman president, seems like an aspiration that is lost on the Vermont senator. When you've always been represented, as white men have, It isn't a top priority to ensure that others are represented too.